Hey everyone, it's Carson here, back with another video, and in this video I'm going to be checking out a robot vacuum by the company known as 360 Robot, and specifically this is their S7 Pro vacuum, and this has a lot of features that it has to offer. For around $310 US, you've got things such as LIDAR built into it, a mobile app that works in conjunction with it. It has the ability to do mopping and vacuuming. You've got the ability to set virtual zoning and a bunch of other cool things that a lot of the budget vacuums that are on the market just can't offer. So in this video, what I'm going to be doing is reviewing this. I'm going to be unboxing it, figuring out is it really worth it for $300, and just touching on some other things that I like and some of the things I don't like about it. But with that said, let's first get into a quick unboxing.
Alright, so let's just get right into the box. The very first thing you'll see on top is a drip guard that you place underneath the mop if you choose to use that. You've got the manual, and then of course the vacuum itself. You can see the bottom there and the top. Here is the mop unit. Then you've also got some inserts for the mop to replace. Then you've got the charging dock. This thing's pretty cool because it does offer some cable management here in the back. Also, inside that part of the box, you'll see the power adapter for the charging dock. It's got units for US and other countries as well. After you've removed all of the pieces and the plastic from the top, you are ready to get to the setup process.
And now that everything is out of the box, let's just talk real quick about the app setup, and then I'll talk a little bit more about the features offered in the app a little bit later in this video. But as far as the setup goes, it was incredibly easy. All you've got to do is power on the vacuum for the very first time, which I already was able to do because there was a charge in the battery, which is great. It had around 50%. Then once you've got it powered on, simply download the 360 Robot app, go ahead and create an account or sign in if you already have an account. Then you just add the robot and walk through the steps of setting it up, and you're done. I was able to get it all set up in probably no more than maybe 2 minutes. It was really quick and easy, so if you are worried about the setup process, don't. It walks you through it all on the app, and it's very easy to do. But with that said, let's talk a little bit more about the sensors that this has to offer and some of the physical features before we get to some of the digital features included in the app, like I already mentioned. So the cool thing about this vacuum, like I've already mentioned, is that this has LIDAR on the top of it. So a lot of other robot vacuums are dumb in that they can't actually map out or see what's around them, and they simply rely on the bumper in the front to tell them when they've hit something, and so they can go and get around it that way. But with this robot vacuum, the thing that's cool about this is that it has that LIDAR laser scanner, which means that it's able to map out an entire room, and in fact an entire home, with multiple levels if you need. And with that, you're able to go and see a live map on the app at any point in time in order to see where the robot vacuum is in your house, as well as go and tell it to clean this specific area, or you can go and tell it to clean specific rooms, or you can even go and make it clean at different suction levels or different cleaning types. Like if you want one room to only be vacuumed and you want another room in your house to use the mop, then you can go and tell the vacuum basically to go and clean those different types in the different rooms, which I think is really awesome. This does of course have this bumper guard here in the front. This one uses it just in case the LIDAR isn't able to see something such as a table leg or something that's really small. On top of that, you've got some other sensors on the sides and the bottom. You've got a side corner sensor. You've also got a front sensor right here. Then on the bottom of the unit, you've got 4 total sensors, and these are drop sensors, so it won't go and fall down a stairway or some level change on your ground. There is pretty much nothing else sensors wise on this, but you do have these giant wheels on the bottom, which I'm a huge fan of because they do have this suspension built in, so it's able to get over some really big thresholds, which is great. However, I have found that it does struggle on some thicker carpet, and I would say that's mostly because of the brush and it just getting caught up in thicker knit carpets. So if you have some thicker carpet, a robot vacuum may not be the best option for you. It can manage, but it just really does not perform great. You then have the power button, which you can press to start and stop a cleaning task. There's also a little cord button, which this will go and tell the robot to return to the charging dock, so you don't have to whip out an app and tell it to go there. You can just simply press the button and it will go back itself. Then inside of this flap, you've got your dustbin, a little cleaning brush to help you clean that out as well as get things unstuck from your brush. And then you've got 2 indicator lights, one for the Wi-Fi and one for if you are resetting the device. But other than that, that is now it for the device itself. So let's talk a little bit about how it performs and some of its functions. So with the app, as you could probably expect with most robot vacuums, you can go ahead and schedule different cleaning times. And like I already mentioned, you're able to go because it maps out your entire house. You can go and schedule those cleaning times in specific rooms. So if you want one room to go and be cleaned at a specific time of day and another one at another time, you can go and dial it in that granularly to tell it to clean at those specific times, which I think is awesome, and most robot vacuums just simply can't offer that feature. So I think that's pretty cool. Also, like I mentioned, you can have more than one level of your house mapped out. You can actually map up to 10 floors in a building. So if you want to be moving this from floor to floor for whatever reason, you can go ahead and do that yourself as well. If you've got a mix of some hardwood floors or smoother floors and carpeted areas, there is an option in the app to go and enable the vacuum to auto detect when it goes onto carpet, so it can turn up the suction level by 1 click. So if you are in the quiet, it will go to the standard cleaning, and if you're in the standard, it will go to powerful, and so on, which is kind of convenient, especially when you usually need more suction on a carpeted surface. However, I have noticed that it is pretty finicky on how it determines that. A lot of the times it just simply doesn't work, but it's a nice feature to have turned on anyways, just because when it does detect that it is on a carpet, then it will go ahead and bump up that suction level. Speaking of suction, this has 4 different levels of suction. It's got a quiet mode, which generally you'll use if you want to have the vacuum, roaming around during the middle of the day and you don't want a super loud, distracting vacuum. The next level, which is standard, does a better job at cleaning stuff up because it's just, a good mix of quiet. And then the third level, which is powerful, and it's able to do that in the standard mode just really well. So if you can manage to handle the standard loudness, I would go with that level over anything else because it's a pretty good middle ground of the quiet level, but also good performance as far as pickup goes. The next level you've got is powerful, and then the highest level of suction is max. In the max mode, obviously you're not going to be getting the full battery life of the vacuum, but luckily enough, there is smarts built in, as everything else in the vacuum is. But with the smarts built in, it will go, and if it's cleaning your house and it happens to get low on battery, it will automatically return to the charging dock, and then it will, once it's charged up enough, go and resume the cleaning task that it was performing before, and it will finish that job. As far as the mopping functionality of this robot vacuum goes, going and enabling this is really easy. All you've got to do is put some water into this water tank, go ahead and slide it into the rear of your robot vacuum. It'll give you a vocal cue to let you know that you've entered the mopping mode, and this thing has some pressure pushing down on it. So when it is cleaning the floor, you don't have to worry about it not going and having contact with the floor. It does a really good job at pressing down. I will be honest, I have not used this at all because I just do not need a mopping mode, but it's pretty cool that it has it here just in the event that you do want to have a mopping mode enabled for this robot vacuum. Removing it is just as easy. You just pinch the back.
Water tank has been removed.
And it will go
Exiting mopping mode.
and exit the mopping mode for you. You will have to go and, clean off this brush here every so often, and I would say probably after every time you mop because it will likely get very dirty. It's just held on here by some Velcro, and it'll slide right out like so, and you can go and throw this in the wash, hand wash it, however you want to go about doing that. And then once you put it back on, you just simply slide it into the slot right here, Velcro it back down to the surface, and you're all set and ready to go once again for this mopping mode. So that is how the mopping mode goes if you are curious. With cables, it does have some AI built into it, or whatever they call it, where it's supposed to go and not get tangled on cables. However, I have found that it does get tangled on cables sometimes. I mean, it's just inevitable. So I haven't found that feature to totally be super present, at least with the advertised claims of it not getting tangled. I just have not seen that. And when it comes to carpets, oh my gosh, this gets caught on so many of the carpets in our house. We do have some lighter carpets which aren't like, full room carpets, which it doesn't get caught up on, but for the small little area carpets that are maybe like, 2 feet by 3 feet, it gets caught on those all the time. And in fact, it's pulled some of them into other rooms before when we're not home and not paying attention to the vacuum. So if you have some smaller throw rugs in your house, you may want to consider pulling those up or just setting no-go zones in the app so then it doesn't clean those areas. Which, with the no-go zones and the ability to use the app for that, it is a great thing to have. A lot of the times you have to use a magnet strip or something dumb, like physically in a physical space with some other vacuums, but because this, going back to the fact that it knows where it is in the space that it's in, you can go and set a virtual no-go zone as well as virtual no-go walls, which is very helpful. So right now I do have a couple of those in here. You'll see those red lines. Those are virtual walls. So basically it won't go into these rooms that the little line is at. Also, you can draw complete boxes. So like I was saying with the carpets, if you know where that is and you want to put a no-go zone, just click on no-go zone. Click on the no-go zone. That will add a new box. You can add pretty much as many as you need onto your area. Then you can go ahead, click save, and it will add that as a no-go zone for that space. And now that I'm on the topic of the app, I've got to say that the app is my absolute favorite thing about this robot vacuum, and the reason why I'm just going to say now that I fully recommend this. This is so worth the cost that you pay for it just because of how feature-packed this app is. Down in the bottom right, you've got a toolbox which has a bunch of different features built right into it. When you open it up, you can see right here, these are all the different things you can do with it. One of my favorite things to do is that this has a built-in RC mode. So what that means is when you click on this, you can literally control your vacuum as if it's a RC car or something like that. So you can move it around just like you would expect from the app, and I found it to be very responsive. It does take a little bit of time to get a hold of the controls and figure out how that works, but otherwise it works great. It's very responsive, and I've been very satisfied with that. And it's very helpful when you're trying to go and just clean a small little area that you drop stuff in, and you don't want to go and have the vacuum just clean an entire room. But also, if you don't want to use RC mode, and I've been using this a little bit more, the area mode here allows you to go and choose an area that you want the vacuum to clean in, and it will just simply go to that space in your house and clean it up for you right then and there. You can also set how many times you want it to clean that area by just tapping right there. So if you wanted to clean 2 times, 2 different swipes, then it will do that. First it will go, in one direction, and then the next time it'll go perpendicular to the first time and clean the other way, which I find to be really good at picking up, the big spills that you make a mess. So if you click on adjust area, right here, this is what it looks like. You can draw a green box, and we'll go ahead and clean that area. A couple more things in this toolbox. You've also got the option to update the robot vacuum. You've also got the option to find your robot. And it will go and say, I'm here, if you click that. In settings here, you've got a bunch of different things that you've got the option to change. Specifically, a couple things that I've already mentioned. You've got the increased suction power when cleaning carpets. Doesn't work 100% of the time, but it's still nice to have on. You've also got the ability to adjust the volume because the voice on this, it speaks for pretty much everything. So if you don't want it to be loud when it's speaking, you can adjust the volume. I've found 50 to be a pretty good even ground. In the cleaning report, this is very helpful if you want to see, how much your vacuum has cleaned in the past week, how much area it's cleaned, and different things like that. It's pretty cool to see all this data going through, and it tells you, the total duration of how much it has cleaned. But with that covered, there is a ton more in this app that I haven't mentioned, but I just do not have the time to go and walk you through all of them because there's just so many features. With that said, I've said a lot of good things about this vacuum so far. What are some of the issues with it? Well, one thing that I did already slightly mention is that although this claims to have the ability to avoid getting tangled in wires, it's pretty much inevitable that it's going to get caught in wires. I haven't had any get wrapped up in the brush, but I have gotten it to the point where it gets stuck on the side brush here, and once it gets wrapped up around there, it's pretty much stuck. Like, it does a pretty good job, and I've seen it go and attempt to get unstuck for up to 15 minutes before it shuts off, but it's just not the best, and it will get, if it gets caught, it'll get stuck, and it will just stick there, and it will shut off after about 15 minutes of being stuck just to conserve battery. and then you'll have to go and manually, interfere with it and get it untangled yourself. But otherwise, it gets caught in the carpets, like I mentioned, and other than that, though, I haven't really noticed any issues with the cleaning of it. It does a really good job cleaning. That's something that I haven't even mentioned up to this point because of all the great features, but it does a very good job cleaning in the standard mode. In the max power mode, it is very loud, but it does a really great job there as well. When it comes to cleaning out the dustbin, it's pretty easy, but it is annoying sometimes to get this open. It just feels really difficult to get this popped open. It's not super clear on how you're supposed to open it each time, even though I've done it a couple of times now, so that is a little bit of a downside, but because of the size of it, I can't go and, throw all of that away just because of the dustbin. Also, visually, something that really annoys me is the fact that they chose shiny plastic for the top of the vacuum, which is just the worst choice ever, because this, I am not kidding, is literally a dust magnet. Like, it will be coated in dust. So it gets pretty gross looking even after just a couple of cleans. Like, it was covered in dust even after its first full clean. So I don't like the fact that they chose this gloss plastic on top. They definitely should have went with a matte choice. I mean, I get it. Sometimes it's considered to look, more premium, but it just really does not in this case because it's always getting covered in dust. And when you try and clean it, you end up scratching it, and it's not a great thing. So I wish they would have chosen something like the bottom here has with a more, matte coating on it, but they didn't, so I've got to go and dock points for that choice. But other than that, this vacuum has just been a complete delight to go and use and have it around the house. It does a very good job at cleaning. It has all the features that you could ask for, and it's just a very cool vacuum to have around because of all those features that it has. So in the end, with answering that question of whether or not it is worth it to pick up this vacuum, I would say absolutely yes. It's a very nice feature-packed vacuum that you don't even see from a lot of the other name brands. So I am not at all worried about recommending this just because of all those features that it has. With that said, coming back to the question of whether or not I believe it's worth it to pick up this S7 Pro robot vacuum, I've got to say, after using it for a couple of weeks now, I definitely can recommend it, and I'm not just saying that because I was sent the unit. Like, if I purchased this myself, I would be very satisfied with it. It just has so many features jam-packed into it that you can't get at the same price level with more name brand products. So I find it very cool that they're able to pack so much into it. It's got that extra mopping, which I really didn't use, but if you're somebody who needs mopping out of your robot vacuum, it's cool that you've got that. And just, all the features that it has to offer, I've been very satisfied with it. And the cleaning ability of it is great as well. So having it moving around the house every couple of days is just a very nice thing to have. So with that said, if you're interested in picking up this vacuum yourself, I will be leaving a link to purchase it down in the description below. And if you liked this video, make sure to let me know by clicking the thumbs up button down below, as well as subscribing for future videos like this from me. Also, you can check out some of my other videos by clicking one of those boxes right over there. But with that said, that is it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in the next video. Peace.